Dr. Sagar Thara, Sarji.
I'm an environmental engineer with a specialization in risk analysis. I've worked with universities as a teacher, with United Nations, with government, with non-government organizations, with trade unions, struggle organizations, with consulting firms. We worked on several problems related to heavy metal toxicity and pesticide toxicity and so on. Some of which I could present as case studies out here. You'll find them probably very interesting. That some of the most unlikely things which you don't realize actually happen right next door to us all the time, in fact. So I leave it there at the moment.
We'll be hearing from him about Hussain Sagar Lake, what he has done. He's going to show us some slides also about that. And Ambassador Vinod Kumar, he is a frequent in TV, he gives a lot of appearances.
Good afternoon to everybody. I am Ambassador Dr. Vinod Kumar. I am from the Indian Foreign Service, retired. But basically I am a general surgeon. I used to practice in Dhulipet till 2 o'clock in the night. As Dr. Rora mentioning, I have seen so many such cases and handled in midnight till 2 o'clock. I saved many lives. That is one part of my job, of course. Then I entered into law, then jumped into civil service, then worked in many countries as Ambassador of India, High Commissioner of India, Consul General of India. Yeah, 30 years back I was the regional passport officer. I built the building in the whatever present Secunderabad passport office. I fought with government and brought it. When I opened passport office in Visakhapatnam, because it's such a big state having only one passport office, Kerala 3 passport offices. Then they said, no doctor, we can't because we don't have officers. Then I said, I'm a general surgeon, I used to work 18 hours continuously. I can work both places. Is it? Then immediately they gave order, flying passport officer. I opened there, worked around the clock, Saturday, Sunday there and the weekend here. Of course, now it is catering more than 1 lakh passports in Visakhapatnam. Yeah, that is one issue. Now, of course, after retiring, I am the advisor to many NGOs. Particularly, my interest is health and then education. And the NGOs are Gulf workers, because when I was in the Ministry of External Affairs, a lot of issues pertaining to the Gulf, dead bodies, non-payments, and then various people in the jails, I was handling. Then now there are few NGOs, they asked me to help them, so I am now advisor to them. Then for another point is I am the, of course, chairman of NRI division in the Congress party and also vice president of TPCC. Then I have my own software company, I am the chairman. We have 64 BTech engineers working in our company. We are going to do various things in the artificial intelligence and the other issues. There are so many things, I don't want to go into details because we have to listen and then know and then learn many things about the toxicity, which is the burning topic. And one word, I would like to appreciate Dr. Saxena's efforts in this case. We are with you. Thank you.
Baburao, welcome, Baburao sir. We are just remembering about you. Ikkada randi sir. That's all right, sir. We thought we'll create obstacles for Baburao. Mr. Nasim Reddy Dante sir doesn't require a please.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. I hope Telugu okay na, English na? English. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay, we have multi-lingual participants, so we'll speak in English. I'm a doctor, but not a medical doctor. So I'm a political science student, and I've been working on various multidisciplinary subjects as an activist and also as a campaigner. Right now I'm not going to talk about my entire life, but I should congratulate Dr. Saxena for bringing all of us together. For the past 35 years, we have been trying to bring medical doctors into this campaign on environmental issues in Hyderabad, and I think he has succeeded in bringing all of you here. This is going to be a multidisciplinary forum, and as we discussed, we thought we'll continue this series. So today 4 hours, I don't think it's enough for us to discuss many of the aspects. So we are going to do a series on this, and I hope all of you will continue and to participate in this deliberation and also bring more people, because the crisis is becoming severe, and it is increasingly becoming a problem for common people, especially poor people. So I am going to speak some of the specifics, because I know Dr. Saxena has given us very broad issues. In Hyderabad, I think most of you know, we have everything here in terms of toxins. So we have manufacturers, we have consumers, we have research institutions, and yet when you look at the politicians or the policy makers, they don't have a clue of what is happening. And some of our friends from media would say for us, because whenever we want to highlight a problem, they don't find any spokesperson who can tell them what is happening. So every time, they ask me, of course there are scientists, there are doctors, but they are not ready to come before the camera. That's another problem. So we are going to, this campaign is going to bring multiple voices, and maybe we can come up with solutions or recommendations where the government can start working on them. So I am just bringing you some studies which are done in Hyderabad. I am not, we have worked along working on pesticides all over India, especially pesticide poisoning in Yavatmal, Kerala, and we have been interacting on public policy issues. But right now in Hyderabad, we know this water pollution is becoming serious by the day. But then we don't see the public health authorities linking the health crisis or public health issues with the cause of causes, basically toxins. So how toxins are entering into our life, entering into your body. So when we started in 87, 85, 80, 86, 87, we started working on industrial pollution in Patancheru and many of the industrial estates. We were talking of a uni pathway where the water flows into a nearby water body. But today it has become much more complex. I think we are receiving toxins in multiple pathways, and I think most of our bodies are now the repositories of toxins. Maybe we need more studies on that, but we can't escape saying that we don't have toxins in our body. And you can look at some of the studies which tell us what is happening in Hyderabad. So this, I think, is a study which was done on groundwater contamination by heavy metals and metalloids in Russia and India. And then they take Hyderabad as one of the case studies. They have done soil sampling in Kukatpalli area, and there they found at least 9 metals in the soil samples. So you can see arsenic, cobalt, chromium, copper, molybdenum, nickel, lead, selenium, thorium, uranium and zinc. So these are the metals they found in the soil samples, which invariably might find their way into water bodies, drinking water, and then into our bodies. And then they also have done sampling in the groundwater in Kokatpalli area. And again, they have come, they say there is excess of toxins in groundwater in Kokatpalli. This was done in 2017, so it's a recent study. And they clearly say groundwater chemistry in this area is influenced by industrialization and urbanization by the aquifer, aquifers in that area. So clearly they are establishing that environmental pathways. Now there is another study, this is a very old one, 91, not a recent one. 91 they found cadmium and chromium in vegetables in urban sewage sludge, which you can find in Musi River. So even today several studies they show that how years back this contamination has begun. And clearly they have looked into the sludge and how it has entered food chain, human food chain through these vegetables and even milk. Then you have another study which was done recently in 2008, of course, not recent in that sense. And they found lead. You were talking about lead. And lead they found it is beyond the permissible limit. Nickel is there, zinc is there, chromium is there, and they found that even in milk samples. And they compared buffalo milk and cow milk. And some of you might know, in Musi River, Nizam constructed a beautification project. And Musi flows not the entire width of its, what you can see in Chadarghat or High Court and other places. It's almost 3/4 kilometer. That was built only for as a flood plain. So whenever there are heavy rains or monsoon rains, so that width will take that flows. But beyond the monsoon period, that land is used for garden or cultivation of grass for buffaloes or even agriculture. So that's happening for the past 100 years. But now the water in Musi is completely polluted. So this grass and the vegetables and the food which is grown in that area is now taking all those metals and whatever contaminants which are found in that urban sewage. And that's how they found that food chain is completely polluted. Even Institute of Preventive Medicine, they have done studies long back. I think even 1995 they have told us that some of the pesticides can also be found in the buffalo's milk and then entering the food chain. So these people have done soil sampling. Now we think it's only in the water. Now as I mentioned, soil sedimentation is there, and the past 35 years gradual sedimentation of heavy metals is also happening. So in Hussain Sagar, in many of the lakes and also Musi River. And they found in those sediments these heavy metals are there. Some of the media, they keep asking me what metals you can find. I said it's not only metals, it could be compounds, because pesticides are there, and now they are calling it forever chemicals. So these compounds, they don't break down under severe conditions as well. So not many studies are done on that, but I have a study, recent study, I'll come to that. Then you have a study which was done in this year, which was published this year. You can clearly see the levels, they have studied paddy, heavy metals in paddy and also in paragrass. Paragrass is what is fed to the buffaloes. So you can see 2014, 16, 17, 20. So they have done levels for different years, and for cadmium, lead, zinc and nitrogen. Though they say it is below WHO permissible limits, what you can see is it is increasing. Increasing, for the different years they have done that study. And here you can see, I think one question which keeps coming up, if there is heavy metal contamination, how does it affect people? And they have looked at different factors, so ingestion rate, exposure frequency, exposure duration, average time of exposure, skin surface area, body weight. I think all these are factors which will tell us how this contamination impacts particular individuals. And they have looked at sources, Musi river water, Musi canal water and groundwater. Now Musi canal water is basically, this is downstream of Hyderabad, from Nagol. When Nizam, he constructed weirs, they call. So whenever there are rains, this water, it will be diverted to tanks in different villages. So 40 villages used to get water, and this was a boon for them at that time. Now it has become a bane because now it is only polluted water. Now they can't escape polluted water. So they have done sampling in those canals as well, the canals which take water to different tanks in different villages. So earlier at least 40,000 acres, they used to grow different kinds of food, and now the same 40,000 acres receives this sludge, this polluted waters from the Musi. And they have seen how non-carcinogenic and carcinogenic impacts on infant, child, teen, male and female. So the total cancer risk, I think they are saying it has increased in the last few years. Now this 2010 study, which is a surprise because they tell us that not much heavy metal contamination is there. And I looked at the authors. I found that one is from Pennsylvania State University and another is from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And it was done by IWMA, International Water Management Institute. So they had a political ambition, basically trying to advocate some policy principle. So they try to reduce the impact of the heavy metal as a cause of toxin, but then surprisingly they tell us that this bacteria, I think the helminth concentration, they say it is very high. So basically E. coli and then the bacterial contamination is very high, is what this study is trying to say. Of course they say the spatial and temporal changes can also impact the water quality parameters. But they have done for a long period, 14-month period, they have done that study. So they say this river Musi waters, they travel 267 kilometers, Upstream is 90 kilometers, upstream of Hyderabad. But Hyderabad pollutes for about 20 kilometers. And beyond another 200 kilometers, it flows through Suryapet to Krishna river. Now Suryapet has a reservoir, and these studies say it is diluted by that point. But then sedimentation is still there, and not many studies have been done on the sedimentation. So we are not sure how far these contaminants are traveling for the past 30-40 years. Because as every year the volume of wastewater from Hyderabad is increasing. Today, Metro Water Works says they are releasing 1400 million gallons per day. But our estimate is it's around 2000 million gallons per day. And we don't know the volume of contaminants in this everyday polluted water flowing into River Musi. This is again a recent 2015 study, and here they talk about pesticides. And interestingly, they found dicofol residues very high. Dicofol, basically, I think it's a muscle wasting pesticide. And why dicofol is very high is still a mystery for me, though it is used in veterinary condition. And I think you might.
కలర్ సెలెక్షన్ బాగా ఉంటుంది. వెరీ కేర్ఫుల్ అబౌట్ సెలెక్టింగ్ ద కలర్. తీసినా కూడా అంతే కనపడదు. బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ కలర్ కాంట్రాస్ట్ లేదు. there is no contrast. బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ కలర్ లైట్ స్పేస్ చేసినా కూడా
అవేసి ఇక్కడ
వైట్ పెట్టుకుంటే సరిపోతుంది. వైట్ లెటర్స్ అయితే కలర్లెస్ బాగా డార్క్ కలర్ అండ్ కలర్.
They found dicofol and dimethylate in milk samples. Now dicofol, we don't know why it is very high, and only these two. They, of course, they say there are other pesticides, but below the detection limit. Of course, the detection limits are also under discussion. But it also means organochlorines and organophosphorus contaminants are also found in this waters. Now this again, this is now this antibiotic resistant bacteria study. This was done recently. I can't remember the year, but there is a very recent one. I think 2017. So there at fluoroquinolones, they found the antibiotic concentration very high. I think this is a little technical for me. Maybe Anand can tell us, but they can see that antibiotic concentration is very high, beyond exceptionally high. They are saying it is 20 times more than what it should be.
It is zero now, sir.
Sorry.
If there is no antibiotic pumped into river, it should be zero, right? Ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, levofloxacin, all are fluoroquinolones.
So this is what the table tells us, along with the heavy metal contamination and other parameters, pH, total dissolved solids. And you can see that total QNR, I think that's a resistant gene, and they found in certain sites very high. Now this is again a study done in downstream, and they found in Pirjadiguda, RTC Colony, Parvatapuram. These are the villages which receive this wastewater, and they have done health studies. So they found skin diseases, diarrhea, diarrhea, arthritis, gastrointestinal problems, and malaria percentage also. So then you have this antimicrobial agent. This is a very serious study. They found residues, in the Patancheru Bolaram area. In fact, they have done 28 sites, which one of the sites is this Jelgam Bengaluru Park near Panjagutta. So they found residues of moxifloxacin, so various antibiotics. They have found very high levels of residues. So this is another problem which is found in India, in Hyderabad water bodies. Antibiotic residues. In fact, in Hussain Sagar, I think 3-4 years back, someone prepared tablets out of the residues. That means the levels of residues is very high. I mean, they could find the raw material to, develop tablets out of it. Yeah, German stuff. This is the most recent one. This is what.
Sir, can I interfere there?
Yeah.
Because this, what you are talking to you, this is just not only antibiotics. There are some anti-inflammatory like diclofenac. All these were present. In fact, I will just like to share one example. The Parsi community has to change their cremation program because they keep the dead bodies open on the well because they believe everything has to go to nature. Today, there is not a single bird which eats this
Vultures.
vultures. Now this paper has come into, but the Pakistan there are 0 vultures. India today we have only 5% vultures. And today eco-pharmacology, which has become a very important site of subject, where you will have to work a lot. In fact, we ourselves will share with you certain data where these antibiotic residues are making a mess everywhere. And there, the vultures' tissues were having high amount of anti-inflammatory substances. And that is why the COVID, one of the causes is that if vultures would have been there, the COVID would have been killed. Today there are no, because vultures are only having that capacity to kill the viruses. So we have broken the environment.
Bats
This
bats
is
they
a-
resist. Bats also resist COVID.
Actually, this issue came in
Yeah, very- 5 minutes.
It's linked with your this thing to 2005. Maharashtra government filed a case against Indian Air Force. Your fighters, when they're flying, it is killing vultures, it is killing large number of these big birds. I was one of the person in charge to look into all these issues, and this was the issue. Because the train Rajdhani Express, when it passes through up to Bangalore and all those areas, disposal of waste, food waste, was not known to anyone. Whenever they are passing through jungles, they'll throw it. They all used to come filled, and land is filled with all these antibiotics. So animals are dying there, the birds are coming, they are also dying. So this was then identified, and it came as a big paper in the newspaper. Yes.
Okay. Let me complete my.
Yeah.
So this is a study done in Durgam Cheru. I think most of you might know, Madhapur, and they found 183 compounds. This is a very recent one. I think if you do the similar study on all the water bodies in Hyderabad, they'll find more compounds in that,
Including cocaine.
including cocaine.
It's a recreational spot, unfortunately. So you'll have everything.
No, that's what the other side of development, because Madhapur, you have migrant employees, you have a lot of different kinds of people residing there, and the kind of work culture they have. Anyway, so they found veterinary medications, narcotic pharmaceutical, painkillers, anti-psychotic, antidepressant, and anti-obesity drugs, And of course, they mentioned butochlor and various other chemicals as well. So this, I think, is a very significant one, and I think we all need to see why such studies are not done in other places where the potential contamination is there, which is happening for the past 30-40 years. In fact, if you look at the 15-20 industrial estates which are within Hyderabad, they even today, despite any law, despite a pollution control board, they continue to pump water directly into the nearby lakes or directly into the groundwater. And that's how we have seen in Patancheru area long back, even today you can see antibiotic traces in the groundwater aquifers there. So I think it's a very mind-boggling situation when you keep looking at how these manufacturers are, beating the regulation and polluting our environmental resources. And why the problem is this should have alarmed our government. It did not even pinch them, because when the media wrote and we are given interviews, there's no response. And yesterday there was a tweet by the principal secretary, Hyderabad is growing, 10 tall buildings are there, and we are on par with Mumbai. Okay, so those 10 tall buildings will come at what cost? Begumpet, all those areas, they don't even have 10% of drainage, and treated drainage systems are completely absent for almost 70-80% of Hyderabad. And whatever treatment they are talking about is very rudimentary. They have some sedimentation, some anaerobic or aerobic systems, and then add some microbial culture, and they say, okay, you can see water is clean. I think 50-year-old technologies are being used now, and we are told that by this October or December, Hyderabad will have 100% treatment and will recycle.
Water in the first place.
So these are the kind of lies openly being said about, and we say we are a science city. We have at least 20 plus universities. We have at least top scientific research institute, which are at least 15 or 20. And we have a situation where no one can tell us what is happening with those poor people, why their children are suddenly becoming paraplegic, why there is cancer, why there is all these problems of skin itching, allergies. There's no one to tell them. There are many serious, I think, medical cases I shared with Dr. Saxena. We don't know what is and no one goes into the sources of the problem. And that's a problem we need to address from this platform. I am showing you Kerala. This is a recent study, because we don't have studies here in Hyderabad. All India Coordinated Research on Pesticide Residues, AICRB, is, this is done by the Government of India as part of Pesticide Insecticide Act 1968. But then recently, in the last 3 years, they have sent out a circular saying, don't give any data outside and don't do studies at all. So this sampling, whatever the sampling they used to do, agriculture university, they are mandated to do every year some samples vegetable samples and tell us what are the residues in pesticide residues. They take only vegetables. You know, we are talking about pesticide residues in processed food, ultra processed food, and waste water and waste food which is dumped near Jawahar Nagar. None of that is done. And you can see it's out of 679 samples in Kerala, which comparatively is very organic, because there are a lot of organic movement is there. Even there they found samples residues above the maximum residue level. And of course the MRL itself is another question. So they found in organic shops also pesticide residues. I don't think it's deliberate, but farmers, they don't have means to know, because the soil, the neighboring farms, they could be using pesticides, so the drift is already there. So all those things will be there. It's not that these organic shops are cheating. They may not know, and because our capacity to test pesticide residues is, I think, 0.001%. So, and then of course several non-approved pesticides are there. Their pesticides are approved for a particular crop, particular pest, but now they are used everywhere. In fact, chlorpyrifos has to be used only in crops, but they are used in Hyderabad also to kill mosquitoes in malarial control. And 3 days back in Maharashtra Assembly, one MLA from Pune, he was asking for glyphosate usage to kill water hyacinth in rivers. He gave a big speech. He said he thought he is doing a very good idea, but he does not know.
Was it
No, yes. In fact, glyphosate, is cannot be used beyond tea estates as per registration. But they used in Mumbai, one of the lakes, and now there is a case filed by them. It cannot be done. It should not be done as well. But that's the kind of usage we are seeing of non-approved pesticides across Hyderabad.
One thing I'll add on this.
So, sir,
Approved is 63 pesticides. Use is 1800 varieties.
we have still not completed.
No, there are many pesticides which are used, and pesticide poisoning is now a very serious case. I'll just give one example and stop. Because this is related to us, I keep telling. In 2002, we did a pesticide poisoning fact-finding report in Warangal. So there were at least 500 farmers who died because of pesticide poisoning. There are episodes of pesticide poisoning happening. And in one village we found that 8 women had breast cancer, and they had surgery as well. So when we came back to Warangal, we had discussion with Indian Medical Association, and we told them these are the findings we have. Then they said, oh, these people, they use tobacco, they are unhygienic, their drainage, canals are not clean. So they are basically saying unhygienic conditions cause those breast cancers. I said, okay, fine, but do you know something called pesticides, and they are used very intensively in the villages? He said, yeah, they could be a factor, very slowly. So that means they are still not, correlation is not happening. And in fact, these studies which are done, if we look at those studies, we will know how and why the disease pattern which is emerging across Hyderabad, and especially in places where people don't get enough quality water or food. I think doctors are not able to relate to the environmental health conditions. So that's where I think we need to discuss how we can make the medical fraternity to understand these different environmental pollutants and how it is impacting public health. So I stop here because there are others who.
Yeah, thanks Rasimareddy ji, and I think it is very exhaustive and all that. I think all of us, because what I felt was studying in the medical college and doing MBBS and post-graduation is not just enough, and our books doesn't mention about this. We are following some old standards, but maybe there are new, I see very young people, newcomers, who are really looking into that, and we will continue this. We have got still a lot of stalwarts. You have only, there is a still batting lineup is there. We'll just take a break. Before that, I would like to, Dr. Satyavati, please introduce yourself, and Dr. Baburao sir, please introduce. Please, please, sir. I know Baburao sir is just formality. And in fact, Baburao sir was the first guy in 2014 we did in FAPSI, sir.
I think out of 5 I was present in 3 already. This is the 4th one.
Yes, sir.
One I missed.
Yes, sir. Even straight, sir.
I am Baburao. I'm a chemical engineer basically. So I did all my service in Hyderabad only at Regional Research Laboratory, then Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. I am interested in environmental issues and I work with people on that. That's all. Nothing more to say.
Thank you, Dr. Satyavati.
Hi, I'm Satya, or Dr. Satyavati. I have a PhD in biochemistry. I studied with Ananta and Jagdish in University of Hyderabad. Now I'm working, or rather leading an R&D group focused on the digital health, focused on the pandemics and epidemics, mostly to inform policymakers of the country, and also we are planning to go to WHO, but it's still a long way to go for us. And my main focus for coming today is to understand where are we, like what kind of data do we have at hand, what would be the action items that I can take back home, and how can I help or how can I teach my own team, okay, what are the next steps? We have this data, so what? What is an action item that we're going to take from this? I live in Pune, I'm from Hyderabad, but I'm living in Pune currently. Thank you.
You can also tell that you work for Springer Nature.
Yes, I also worked for Springer Nature for some time. Right now I'm working with tech consulting firm. For Springer Nature, I was a product manager for their databases for life sciences. Yeah.
And her husband works at NCL Pune, scientist at NCL. He does the honey analysis, sir.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting. Welcome, Dr. Satya. And what I can always tell you is we'll just break for tea or coffee, and we are providing food for thought, Mujib sir. We are not going to offer biryani and all that. We'll just have some snacks or biscuit or tea, and I can really assure the subsequent session will be an open session. We will be open to ask questions and all that. And we have going to hear from Dr. Dinesh, Dr. Sagarji, Dr. Baburao, and Dr. Ananta. We'll see you here in the last. Okay, we'll just go for a break. Now we'll have a tea. 5-10 minutes.
No, 15 minutes. Sir, I don't have slides. How much I'm introducing?
Sure.
Yeah, that is the reason why I just wrote down the points. I don't need slides.
You don't need point, you don't need slides.
Slides.
If you keep on going.
I wrote down exact to the point points.